So now the size of the graft depends on area we are going to treat. But here for demonstration we'll be treating very small area. So I'll be taking a small area for graft. Otherwise the ratio can be 1:8 or 1:10. Like if you have to treat 10 centimeter square area, you need to take 1 centimeter square of the graft. Yes. It's better if we can have a certain skin marker. We can mark the area from where we are taking the graft, because if the topical anesthesia is the best option here. Like if patient can apply a topical anesthetic like MLAP or 1.5 hours before procedure under occlusion, so we can even avoid giving local xylocaine. But as she has not been given that, so we need to now give her xylocaine 2%. Marking is important, otherwise also we know the area which has been anesthetized, so it's easy to take. We can just mark with a skin marker. So this is just cleaning with the spirit. If we have the Caesar. Okay, maybe we need to cut this microphone or anything. Maybe later. So you can come and we can start. So, because I was saying topical anesthesia is better, because if we inject it, it makes the surface uneven. We need a smooth surface for taking a smooth graft. So now we try to give a local in a sort of block, like we make a block and not injecting in the center from where we are going to take the graft. And for this we just usually prefer a needle with a long So this is again 26 number needle, but with a long, the length is long. So with a single prick we can go There is no need for multiple prick. And we give this, we don't have a marker. So like this, we make a square. So you're feeling pain. This is the last bit. That's all. So we are given this like a square. And now I have just to make these points like from where this is using out, so this part has been inserted. If it has been marked, then it would have been easy to. For taking a graft, this is the simple thing we are using. This is an ordinary shaving blade and a long artery forceps. And this is we do in a center. We just keep it in a center and then just click. So this is the simplest and safest and the best for taking a graft. Now, certain tips for taking this graft. So we have to make, you're feeling pain? It will not be painful now. So we are just have to make it as straightened out as possible. Like I will be pushing it down and out, and you will be like from this end, this way, and down, down, and this. Yeah. So now this is like, it has to be made as flat, with as stretched out as possible. Now now this is good, yes. Yeah. So with this, it has to be kept like this, and with the seesaw movements. But that's all. So here you can see, you can read through this graft, Gillette product written. So that means you are correct depth. That's all. So you can just need it. This is a thin graft. That's all. This is all. It will be a little painful. It's better if we would have applied the topical. So, but next time you will not feel pain like that. Now if you can focus, so as you see, you can read through this graft over the name of the brand written over the blade. So that means you are at the correct depth. This is an ideal graft thickness. If you can help me with, I need some normal saline.
Преместете камерата на масата, така няма да видим нищо.
So after taking the graft, we'll be trypsinizing it. It need to be pressed just because to stop the bleeding. Or you can just open the cap of this.
Excuse me, what is this? Is this celery?
No, we are just, I'll be showing you, I mean, this is, because you're slightly modifying, this is not required step because we just want to wash it with a normal saline, otherwise this is not a step. We have a clean, I put a spirit, so we need to wash the spirit off from this dish. So otherwise this step is not required. I think this. This is what I call as four well method, four compartment method. This is a petri dish with a 4 compartment. This one. And this one tube inside. This one more. I'll just change. So now we are going to trypsinize it. For this this procedure we just need this one chemical, which is trypsin EDTA. So this is only required. Rest you have everything, normal saline, everything you have. I put this graft in the normal saline before moving into trypsin. This is this in just in case if you take sometimes there is a blood with the graft, so just to wash it off because it inhibits the action of trypsin. So we just need to give it just some washing in normal saline. Like this I put in this in a normal saline. Although there was no blood, but still to complete it, so we put it in just to give a simple wash to remove any blood. So like we take trypsin like this in a one well. I call this as a 4 compartment, and this first compartment contains trypsin. And apart from this trypsin, we need syringes and this one pair of forceps. These are the all equipment that's required. Just simple forceps to handle the tissue. So after this, we just take the tissue from this and put in trypsin. This is a nice graft spread out. So it has to be just thoroughly dipped in the trypsin. And now we are going to keep it for 45 minutes in incubator at 37 degrees, simple incubator at 37 degrees centigrade. We can just note down the time. So sometimes as the graft is thin, we can go for even 30 minutes. So we can note down the time so that after 40 minutes we will be So meantime, we will be preparing the recipient area. So this completes our first step of taking the graft. And then we are moving on to our second step of trypsinization. So we are in this 4-well plate, we have, after washing the graft with normal saline, put in trypsin. So all you need is trypsin. So I can provide you this catalog number for this. You can order trypsin, and that's all you require. Rest all things like here, you are in your setup, syringes, needles, and other rest of things, they are easily available in any dermatology setup. You still feeling pain? Okay. You want to go to the bathroom, or we can, okay, if you want to go for 5 minutes, okay. Okay, just give me address. If you want to go for, maybe it will take about 45 minutes total. So meantime, you can start preparing. So we can do this lesion. So today we will be doing this lesion here. So you can clean first, like the same step, cleaning with the betadine, simple. This is not blood, we are just, this is not blood, this is just, so you might get up that that's blood. This is so it's a simple dressing, you can just give. So she has prepared this side. So now this is while the trypsinization is going on, so we can prepare the recipient area. So it's a simple, we need a dermabrasion. So it can be with motorized dermabrader, with laser, with but we are using a very simple and safe method. betadine. It's all autoclave, but still putting betadine just make sure sterility is maintained. So it's again very simple. We are using this manual dermabrader, and this comes in various sizes. Like I have a bigger one for other big areas, and we have much smaller than this, which is like a thinner, can be used for doing angles, and for eyelid we have still smaller. So these come in about 10 sizes. So depending on the area to be treated, we can use, like for larger area this is quite fast, we use a bigger. Over eyelid we use a small one. And this is quite safe because you can regulate the pressure, you can go how deep you want to go. You know, need some normal saline. Just one more trick, that's all. You can use the smaller one. This is a small patch, the 26 number. If this procedure can be done in like setup like this, so that means that in any dermatology setup it will be very easy. So we just require trypsin, and that's all. And one maybe this this partition petri dish. Or instead of, if you don't have access to this fourth compartment, you can use 4 different small containers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, which I will be showing after this. Yeah. So we'll be injecting just 1 or 2 pieces, that's all. Here we have to end the full lesion. Again, if you have a large needle, single prick would be just large. That's all. So you are watching. Normal cells. So we have noted the time when we put this trypsin. Maybe after 40 minutes we'll take it out, 35 to 40 minutes. Was maybe small. So I have just this is a gauze piece which is dipped in normal saline just to keep it moist, because when we are dermabrating, so some scaling will be there, so we'll be just keeping it moist. This is again like it has to be stretched. You can do this in a small area, and just you can go clockwise, anti-clockwise, straight. And once you start, you can feel how much pressure, how much you need to give.
May we see the device? May we see the device closer, closer to the camera, to see how it looks?
This is just have some artists like this. So this, as I was telling,
Needles or is
no, not needle. I'll show you very close up if you want to see this. We call it as manual dermabraders. You're feeling pain? So we have to do till we reach a level when we have a pinpoint bleeding, that we want to reach a dermoepidermal junction. So we look for the pinpoint bleeding. So I am sure this is going to repigment fully after this procedure.
can you use fractional laser or needling?
Yes, with needling it's difficult, like we need it fully dermabraded area. Laser is better. Fractional maybe or CO2 laser, or we use motorized dermabrader, which is very cheap, like cost about $200 US. You can have a motorized dermabrader which is very fast. You can go on a large area. But this is safest to start with because you know how much pressure you can treat over eyelid. You can, they say you can initially go slow, like, so there is no harm, like, because it's very safe. So as layer coming up, so we need to just keep it moist. When you feel pain, just let me. When you're looking at, you might feel pain.
How big can be the area in one procedure?
It depends, like, if there is a very large area, then we have to go for multiple sitting. Like maximum 70 to 80 centimeters square area in a one sitting. And 70 even can be taken up. 70 centimeters. It's quite a big area, 70. And if you feel pain, just let me know.
Стерилизирана. Даже и за ногти.
And at places it can be a little deeper, so this, you have to keep a balance between the two. So we have to do clearly the edges. You can do little normal skin along with edges, because otherwise there is a halo or is usually there. So just to take care of that, you should try to do little beyond the margin. So this is all that is. So that's all. This is a simple procedure. Now we just will be applying a solution, which is not painful. If you have any questions, we can take questions. So it's a 3-step procedure: taking a graft, putting into trypsin, then we'll be preparing suspension and dermabrasion, and then applying the suspension over this dermabraded area. As such, single use is not available. That's all. I'm just touching a corner because we have the time. So.
How long is the incubation?
It's like 40 to 45 minutes to 1 hour, depending on thickness of the graft. Like for very thin, 40 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes. If it's a little thicker, then we go for 1 hour.
Valeria? You can tolerate it.
I will keep it covered with some cords dipped in normal cell. This will wait for some time. What is the time? What is the time? Okay, so we'll wait for 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. So that's what I was saying, it's very simple procedure. Now we are waiting for another 10 minutes to go. You can put normal saline. Now, after taking maybe 45 minutes to maximum 1 hour, then the second step is to remove trypsin. And earlier people used to add antitrypsin, which is very costly, soya proteins. Then equal amount of antitrypsin is added to neutralize the trypsin, because we don't want trypsin to remain there for long, because it is basically can inhibit the melanocyte growth. But we modified this procedure. Just washing twice in a normal saline is good enough to remove trypsin. There is no need to add trypsin inhibitor, which make it more complicated, than one more reagent is required. So what we do is we just wash twice in a normal saline. So put in this one. So this is what I call this as a 4-compartment method. In first compartment we put trypsin for 45 minutes, if you can focus it here. We take the graft, we move it to the second bell, just a gentle wash. And then to the second bell for another wash. You just need 0.5 ml of here in this wash. So now the final, we move to the 4th compartment, so where we are going to prepare this suspension. And in classic method, we usually take about 5 to 10 ml and then perform separation in 5 to 10 ml. But if we take large amount, then we need centrifugation to make the cell concentrate. But we have modified the method. We will, in the final well, we will take only that much amount which is required. So here it is a very small batch. So we will be using just 0.5 ml. So that there is no need of centrifugation. If we use larger amount, so say 10 ml, so again we have, after 10 ml, we will be just centrifuging it to remove the supernatant, and the cell pellet will be settled down. But to omit that step, so we will be using only that much amount which is required. So it depends, usually we need 0.5 to maybe 3 ml. With 3 ml we can apply over the large, maybe up to 70 centimeter square area.
This is saline.
This is normal saline, yes. Yeah. Yes. So now I will be preparing the suspension here. So this is important step. So if you can see closely, you can still focus more closer. Can you appreciate this? This tissue is there. So now this is like separation, this epidermis from dermis. So if you just peel off like this, it's easily peel off. You can hold from one end. It's not very difficult. Even if you can't separate it, the simple thing would be, I'll be showing with this forceps. You just keep hold of one end and then start rubbing like this. The cells will be coming in suspension.
And the solution here is saline, no? What is the solution here?
This is normal saline. Because the tissue is already trypsinized. The idea of trypsinization is the cells are loosened. So we want to make a single cell suspension.
Yes.
So once we are now handling the tissue, so cells are released in this normal saline. So we are getting more and more of cells. By keeping one end here and just rubbing with the other forceps, this is just like peeling it off. And the cells are, if you can see this, saline is getting turbid and turbid with more number of cells, so it gets turbid. So it's very easy, like if you can do, you can see for yourself, the cells are easily released. So this is important because we know where are melanocytes. Melanocytes are in the basement membrane zone. The rest are keratinocytes. So to make it melanocyte rich suspension, so we have to thoroughly rub it off so that we have to make sure that we have reached that basement membrane zone and we have separated the melanocytes. So we have to thoroughly do this type of rubbing the skin as much as possible so that now, as you can see, this all almost disappears. Just a thin, transparent. It's all cells are coming into suspension.
Do you have some histological evidence that the melanocytes are in the suspension?
Yes, this is what we did initially to just document that this is really a melanocyte suspension. So we did staining from melanocyte, and we routinely culture by this method. So that is. Even in conventional method they have shown, but once when we documented this 4-compartment method, so we did our lab study, we counted the number of cells and number of melanocytes and compared it with conventional method of using, and this was no statistical significant difference between the two. So this is that simple. So now we have suspension ready. No centrifugation, nothing, just after trypsinization I am doing this rubbing. This is a nice thin graft, so it's very easy. Sometimes it's a thick graft, so then one has to work a little harder over here to make it cell suspension. So now majority of the cells are there in the. We can discard the tissue. But still, we would love to have as many cells as possible because all cells are welcome, keratinocytes, melanocytes, or even fibroblasts if any. When is the next talk? We are on the time. We still have time. So we are just finishing this. No. This is if we have taken if in a conventional method, only difference here is like we usually take larger amount, then we take in a test tube, put in centrifuge, 1000 revolution for 5 minutes, cell settles, and then fluid supernatant, we we discard the amount which is not required. Like if you are using 0.5 ml, if you have 10 ml, we will going to discard 9.5 ml, and then palette is again mixed in remaining. But here we are just skipping that step of centrifugation. Is even more, I mean, like, because this is the minimum we can do. And we could have, with this much skin, we could have done like 4 times this patch we are doing, but because we are demonstrating here, so we are doing small patch, but we have enough number of cells which can be used for 4 times what we are, doing today. We have 18 number needle. Okay. So if we have 80 number needle, we prefer, because cells, they don't like to go through small bores. It should be 18 number, or I'll be using just syringe as such to mix it. Just to mix it and to release more cell. And we prefer insulin syringe here, like small syringe, so we can make sure like how much bond we have. Usually we prefer insulin syringe. Needle is not. That's what suspension is ready. And if you can see, it's very turbid, rich in cells. You have? Okay. Okay, I'll done. This is starting as well. Smaller pieces. You can just make center. Yes. Now we are just applying. So now when we apply, it should be not be too wet and too. It's a simple application. So with this much of suspension, we could have treated a huge area. We have enough, so we can even afford to lose some. And there are now many modifications. Some have used hyaluronic acid to make it more viscous. So I am using this collagen sheet. This importance of this is like it settles like a skin. So it holds the suspension in place. So it settles like skin and holds the suspension in place.
What is this, sorry?
This is a collagen sheet. So if you don't have collagen, you can use such type of thing, which ideally we use. If you put directly gauze piece over it, it's going to absorb this suspension. We don't want it to be absorbed. So this form an impermeable layer, and by capillary action, try to keep the suspension underneath it. We need one smaller. So you can put the remaining. Really small, really small. And that's all we have done with this.
Is this saline or this is part of the cells? This now?
This is cells we applied over this. And one better is insulin syringe, because you can see the volume remaining easily, how much unit you are putting depending on the area. So now we'll just do a simple dressing with the gauze, sterilized gauze. Take just one tape. And one more important thing is, like, we ask the patient to be stable after this, because first half an hour is important. The cells settles, and once they settle, they are difficult to dislodge. Like, this is different from graft. Graft is there, and one has to be very careful, no movement for 5 so that the graft is not displaced, because graft takes time to be taken up. But here is the cells, they settle within first half an hour or 45 minutes. And even over some eyelids, sometimes even we do not do this dressing, just for half an hour to 45 minutes, we just ask the patient to close the eye and remain stable there, that's all. But here, so after the procedure, we ask the patient to be in the same position for at least 30 minutes, so that the cell settles. Once they settles, so then it's difficult to dislodge with the normal movement. Still longer. So we need to give instruction. If it gets loosened, you need to put one more tape. You don't have to take it off. If it's coming off, put more of tape. So try to keep it there. We need some more to make it strong. So that's all. Any questions? So I think it's a very simple procedure. We need just trypsin. And you can start doing smaller patches, because it follows standard things, there hardly any risk of any adverse effect or side effects.